Welcome back, fellow scientists. So today we finish our Chapter 11, Genetics, Chromosomal Theory of Inheritance unit. So just a brief reminder, right? We know about Mendel and his P's. That's on the review guide. The big thing, we're going to have a test either, when is it? Thursday or Friday, depending on what class period you're on or you're in. And that test is going to be timed, right? And the main thing on that test is going to be solving genetic word problems. We worked a lot. I gave you a lot of worksheets. I gave you a lot of practice on that in class. So the main thing is going to be solving genetic word problems. A little bit about Mendel, a little bit about meiosis, a little bit about pedigrees, which we're going to learn about today. But main thing is this. Like I said, it's open note, open book. There will be a time limit, however, which brings me to another point. If you're a student who has an accommodation with the Learning Center that you get extra time on your test, please email me and I will send you a different link with a version of the test, same questions and everything like that, but it's just I'll extend the time limit, and then most people they'll just have an hour to take the test, just like you normally do in class. So that's kind of give and take with open note, open book, but then it has to be in time limit. I did this for AP biology, or sorry, anatomy and physiology last week, and some of them did not hit submit before time expired, and so it didn't accept any of their answers. So you need to make sure that you submit it before the time limit is up. Otherwise, everything that you just did is out the window. And yeah, I'm allowing them to do it again, but they have to go back and they have to redo all their things that they already did. So please make sure that you do it in that time limit. And email me with any questions or comments or concerns. This remote learning stuff is still kind of new, and it's I'm struggling, you're struggling, we're all struggling together. We're all kind of going towards a common goal of having a good education, but not stressing people out too much. So, anyways, email me with any comments or questions or anything like that. So back to it. So we learned about solving genetic word problems. We learned about the process of meiosis, right? We fit in like karyotypes and non-disjunction and stuff like that in the process of meiosis. So then today we're going to learn how to analyze pedigrees. So let's go down here. Let's grab a new page. What color should I use? I heard Mike say orange in my head. I have no idea how that happened, but it just worked. So let's do orange. And go ahead, take out your notes. Write this down. I'm not exactly sure how you're going to turn in your notes. I'm thinking maybe you'll just take a picture of them and email them to me. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there later on this week, Thursday or Friday. So go ahead and write down. Let's get this big screen. Pedigree chart. Pedigree chart. So pedigree chart, we're going to define it as it shows the relationships in a family. Shows the relationships in a family, and it is used to study genetic characteristics. And the little plus sign means and it is used to study genetic characteristics. Genetic characteristics. Perfect. So we're going to draw a pedigree chart. So you can draw as I go, or you can just wait until I'm done and then kind of pause it. So here's our P generation right here, and then the P generation is going to have one son, and that's supposed to be a square, by the way. One daughter. Oh, and they're going to have two daughters. And then another daughter over here. This daughter is going to remain unmarried and have no kids. This daughter is going to marry and then have three kids, two boys and one girl. So there, and there. There's the two boys and then the one girl. And then this son is going to marry, right? Like that. And then they're going to have two daughters. Oh, and those should be on kind of the same level, right? Because all these are one generation. They're going to have two daughters. Okay, so that's a pedigree chart. that shows family relationship, right? So this person right here would call this person dad, right? This person right here would call this person grandpa, right? This person right here would call this person sister-in-law, right? This person right here would call this person sister, right? This person would call this person sister. So anyways, that's that. Now, how is it used to study genetic characteristics? Well, we can shade it in. Oh, by the way, if you haven't figured it out already, squares mean males and circles mean females, right? So you shade it in, you shade in some of them, and we're just going to kind of shade in a couple of them. Those get shaded. That one gets shaded. Throwing shade. That one gets shaded. That one gets shaded. And that one gets shaded. All right. So here, let's go ahead and make a little key right here. So square means male, right? Circle means female, right? If it's open, either a square or a circle, it does not have the trait. And if it's shaded, right, either a male or a female, that means that they do have the trait. Has the trait. Okay, cool. So now we can actually look, sometimes we can look at a pedigree and we can determine if the trait is dominant or recessive. So here's kind of our question. We'll go back to using orange because this is the main part. So is this trait, so here's our question, is this trait dominant or recessive? Is the trait dominant or recessive? Uh, question mark, right? So basically, you guys know from math, right? Guess and check. So that's kind of what we do here. We're just going to guess and we're going to check. So let's fill it in as if the trait, okay, is dominant first. All right. So if the trait is dominant, that means that individuals without the trait do not have or just have little letters if the trait is dominant. So we have little a here. Here we have a big A, and then I'm just gonna leave a blank right here because it could be a big A, it could be a small a. It really doesn't matter, right? What they have. Let's see, and then the son has the trait, so it has a big A blank. His wife has the trait, so big A blank. And then the original couple's daughter does not have the trait, so that's little a, little a. So now that we fill this in, now we know that her dad had to be big A, little a, right? Because she got one A from mom and one A from dad. So if she does not have the trait, if the trait is dominant, oh here, we'll write that down. So we're filling it in red. Red equals if the trait is dominant. If trait is dominant. Sorry if you can't read my writing. The sketch pad isn't really keeping up. I'm probably writing too small. I'll try to fix that. So this is guess and check, right? If the trait is dominant, and then their original son, he has a big A, right, and then a blank. Marries someone without the trait, little a, right, and then they have a son without the trait, so little a, little a. So now we know that his mom had to be big A, little a, right? And then here we have big A blank, big A blank. But we know, actually, we know that because dad is little a, and could only give a little a, then these guys have to have little a's, right? And then here we have two parents with the trait. And so then this one is a true big A blank because they could have gotten a big A from mom and then a big A or a little a from dad. And then here we have little a, little a. So we know that if the trait is dominant and this person doesn't have the trait, then we know that that had to be little a, little a. And so that works, right? So now does that mean that it 100% for sure is dominant? Well, like I said, this is kind of guess and check. So we can try the other way. So we're going to say blue represents guess and check. If we're going to see if this pedigree, if this pattern of inheritance still works, if the trait is recessive. So if trait is recessive. Okay, so if the trait is recessive, I'm going to write these letters below the individuals. So if the trait is recessive, then those individuals with the trait have to be recessive, and those individuals without the trait can be big A blank, right? So recessive, little a has a son. Recessive, little a. So if that's little a, then we know that mom has to be big A, little a, right? This person right here has to be big A, little a, because she got a big A from mom, hypothetically, and a little a from dad, right? And then this person right here, if the trait is recessive, has to be little a, little a. This person right here has to be big A, blank, because we don't know, right? And then their kids, little a, right? And then so then if they're little a, then we know that that has to be little a, and that has to be little a, and then this right here has to be big A, and it has to be little a because they had to get a little a from their mom. So far it works, right? But now here's the clincher, right? We have a little a over here, and then here we have a little a. Again, this is if the trait is recessive, right? But then here, right here, boom, right? If the trait's recessive, this person doesn't have the trait, so they have to have a big A, right? If the trait is recessive, they neither of their parents have a big A, so this person cannot have a big A. Therefore, this whole entire system doesn't work, right? So if the trait is recessive, the trait's not recessive because this pedigree, this pattern of inheritance doesn't work if the trait is recessive. It only works if the trait is dominant. So that's kind of how you figure out if a trait is dominant or if a trait is recessive based on a pedigree. So yeah, that's kind of it's just guess and check. It's just kind of logically kind of working it through. Um, and that's our last lesson for today. There will be a pedigree question on the test where you'll have to interpret a pedigree, but I won't go so in depth as to ask you is this trait dominant or is this trait recessive. But you will have to be able to interpret pedigree on the test. So you're watching this on Monday, hopefully. Review guide is due Tuesday if you're in seventh period, or Wednesday if you're in second and sixth period. During that review period, I'm going to try to send everyone an email and have a little Zoom review session. I'm going to try Kahoot while we're Zooming. So you guys will be able to see my screen and you'll be able to see the questions on your computer, and then hopefully you'll have your phone or your device or your tablet or something like that, and you'll be able to log into Kahoot and play the game on that. So that should be kind of fun, I think, hopefully. So Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when we have class, is our review session. And then Thursday or Friday, Thursday for seventh period, Friday for second and sixth period. So that's going to be when we actually take the test. And then after that, then next week is a very well earned spring break. So again, hang in there. I know you guys can do it. I know that it's difficult. It's difficult for me. It's difficult for you guys. By God's grace, we are persevering. Email me with any thoughts, questions, ideas, encouragement, possibly. I would be much appreciated. So this has been Mr. Leo. Today we've learned about pedigrees. Hopefully it was fun and engaging and exciting and informative and understandable. Again, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the flip side.